Welcome. Thank you for coming back to my channel. This is part 2 of how to brine a chicken. And now we are going to be roasting the chicken off. This is a whole chicken. I brined it 2 days ago. It's been on brine for 2 days, which means it has been in the water for 2 days. And as you can see, it looks just the same as we did when I showed you all before I left. When you take the top off, the herbs, the smell, all of the goodness is still in there, and everything is all set to go. I'm going to allow this to dry. I'm just going to take it out and allow it to dry. I'll probably throw in a picture just so you all can see that literally you just sit it out on a counter somewhere. Excuse me, not on the counter, but in the refrigerator under with a rack, as I showed you all in the last video, with something under it to catch the remaining juices after you pat it dry, as I stated in the last video. If you did not see how to brine a chicken, check it out and then view this. So I have the oven on 350. It is coming up to temperature. When it goes off, by that time the chicken should be fairly dry. Like I said, guys, I usually don't do this as far as patting it dry, letting it air dry, but I will do this all for you just so you all know how to accumulate and gain that crispy skin, golden brown perfection. So stay tuned. I am going to take this bad boy out, pat it dry, take a picture of what I have as it air dries, and then I am going to throw it in the oven. I am going to actually allow the camera to roll while it is cooking in the oven, just so you all see that there is no tricks. I literally just took it out of the liquid, allowed it to dry, and put it right in the oven. After that, we'll take it out, we'll see how it is, we'll cut it, we'll look at the tenderness and everything like that. And you all should be very happy with the results. So, see you soon. Alright guys, we are back. Second portion of how to brine a chicken. We are going to now roast this bad boy, and he is not as dry as possible. However, I told you all that I am not going to do that. If you would like to do it, pat it dry just like this with a paper towel on both sides. This is just a basic technique. Even the roasting, the brining is all basic techniques. You can get into stuffing later. You can put a whole onion in there for more flavor profiles. You can do all type of different things. You can stuff it with stuffing, dressing, anything like that. So pat it dry and then put it in the cooler refrigerator for 15 to 30 minutes. 45 if you really want to get carried away. However, just still ensure that you pick him up and tilt it, and as you can see, there's still liquid draining, and there will be liquid draining from it. I'm going to fix him. He's caving in. Going to stand him up. Actually, I can just do it with one hand. Yeah, that's about it. It's a stance, so that's how he'll be in the oven. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put him in the oven, and then I'm going to allow you all to watch the magic happen in the oven. If I can. Hopefully it's not too fuzzy. I have a light in my oven, and I never did it before, but I thought it would just be cool just to watch the process. I've literally done it before, put things in the oven and literally watch them while they're in the oven. It's pretty cool. You can see the scientific what goes on behind the baking, behind the roasting, behind cooking. And yeah, I'm not gonna go into any more detail. I would sound like a geek, but I love cooking and I love to learn. So If this is you, you'll love this episode. So I am going to be roasting this chicken on 350. I will come back and conclude with how long and additional things like that, because sometimes I raise the temperature, sometimes I drop the temperature, sometimes I let it go for a little longer. It just depends. But proper technique for roasting a chicken is between 350, well, right at 350 and really at 20 minutes to 25 minutes, even carrying to 30 minutes is fine. The chicken is cooked to perfection, and the residual heat will continue to cook, and you will have a perfect chicken. Now, like I said, when you brine the chicken, you will see when we cut into it later that it's not going to be like other chickens. When you cut into it, it will look almost like I explained, lunch meat, or not bologna, but more like lunch meat and stuff like that, to where you get that clean piece of tender meat that's juicy and pale. I don't want to say raw, but it does, guys, it does look almost like it's not cooked, but it's all because of the juices and everything that I explained in the first how to brine a chicken video. You'll see exactly what I'm referring to. We'll be back. All right, guys. It's looking good. Let's see what we have. So, our bird, his name is Alex. I stole that name from another pet that we have in the house, a new turtle. So, let's see. I'm going to open the oven. Let's see what we have. Da-da-da-da, alrighty. So, again, you see that I'm not gonna move it too much because this thing is heavy and I don't want him to plumage to the ground. But look at this, guys. Look at how much water I put in there. Well, not how much, but I only did it twice. And you can see that one side is clearly evaporated and the other side is not that wet, but fairly wet. But you can see that it's not completely covered. This is what I mean by a spotty oven. You can clearly see that the heat is, even though this is slanted here, even though this is slanted, you can see the meat is still straight, and you can see that the bottom is straight. So this is what I mean by a spotty oven, which is the reason why I keep rotating it. You can already see here, like I said, that right there it's browner than the rest of it, and then you can see that even the tips here of the wing is browner. Okay, so I'm going to turn it again. And I am going to pour a little more water in here so that it does not continue to dry the pan out. And I'm actually going to go from 350 to 375 because at this stage it's already an hour and a half in. I mean, this is not anything new to me. Like I said, an hour to two is not anything for when it comes to meats. Like I said, some people don't achieve that much time. However, other people do. And again, like I said, this does, like I said, I usually it by this time, I think, because sometimes I have it on a higher temperature, sometimes it's already achieved the brownness or the color that I would want. But this guy is being very stubborn. So, and you can already see that the skin breaking away from the bone. This is letting you know that the meat is tender. It's going to fall off the bone. And well, at this stage it's not going to fall off the bone. You have to do a little bit more for it to fall off the bone. But however, that is the next stage that it's going to. You can still see the skin releasing those juices. Like I said, this bird was brine for 2 days. So like I said, everything goes into the cooking method. Everything goes into the cooking procedure. Usually, like I said, I literally left and came back home and threw it in the oven. I usually don't let it go that long. I had before though, so like I said, it's not anything out of the ordinary. It's not anything that I haven't done before. However, like I said, it just really depends on the cooking method. the cooking prep, and then also the meat is kind of, you know, like you have to listen to your food. You have to, and when I mean listen, you don't, of course they're not going to speak back to you, but you have to pay attention to different signs and what the meat is telling you. So like I said, this is telling me that, that's why I mentioned the fact that it was brine for so long, because if I check this out, you see the meat is still literally dripping after an hour and a half. That means it's still rendering out juice. It's still rendering out flavor, and not in a bad way. Like I said, you're still going to have that juicy, tender piece of meat. And like I said, we brined it, so it's going to have the sodium that it needs. You shouldn't, like stuff like this, you're not going to need to add any sodium or anything like that, or any salt, unless you just like unless you're just a person that likes to taste the salt or whatever on your meats. And I mean, that's your prerogative. But I'm going to close the oven and continue speaking, that way this can continue to cook, because at this point I don't want to be here all night with a bird. And I'm actually pretty shocked that it's going on, that it's still cooking for this time. I'm also not really shocked. Like I said, you have to listen to your food, and you have to pay attention to the signs that it's giving you. And this is saying that, hey, you left me in the brine for a long time with all that juicy seasoning flavor, that, hey, I'm taking longer to cook now. And that's okay. Don't rush your food. Allow it to cook. Allow it to do what it needs to do. You know, cooking requires patience. Some people have it, some people don't. And it's funny because I never was a patient person, but you make patience just like you make time for the things that you want to make time for. So I'm patient in other areas, but when it comes to other things, I'm impatient. So I guess, you know, I am patient in certain areas, and cooking is one of them. As I am sipping on my tea that I had on the stove. So yeah, just pay attention to the signs. Like I said, this is still releasing flavor, and as I turn it up, you'll now see other things happening. You can even see like the wrinkles in the chicken, and usually that's happening because of the steam. Like I said, usually I will pour water over top of it because it's so tight, and it releases that tightness, and then it actually tightens back up, creating almost like a double breading. Like if you was to double fry a piece of chicken or something like that, it just creates that double breading, that double crispiness. And like I said, I always do the same method with the water. So the steam has nothing to do. Well, it does. The steam does play a part in the skin not accumulating the crispiness as fast, but it shouldn't have that much effect because it's not touching, it's circulating. So the steam is actually going into the meat and the product. It's not actually affecting the outside as much as the steam for the inside, if you catch my drift. So hopefully I can achieve this within the next 10 or 15 minutes, because I do have some people coming in soon, and I want to be done with it by that time. And also, so our video does not get interrupted, I like this peaceful quietness where I can illustrate and explain, because if not, then I'll have to shut it off and do a voiceover. Like I said, different times and different measures that I use. Sometimes I like to just go off the dome and cook and then explain later, and other times I actually like to go over every detail while it's cooking, during the procedure and during the process. That way you're following and I'm following, and we're following each other. And you know, I don't want to sound offensive, but it's not rocket scientist. If I do happen to end the video, yes. My baby is home and she's calling me. Okay, here I come. So I'm gonna allow this to keep going, and I'll just mute out the audio later. You had fun? Huh? You had fun in Nene house?
Yeah.
Okay. You packing your bag for Look, I'm doing a video with the chicken. You see, I gotta record it in the other. I just gotta clean the glass so you can see it better. But that'll be cool, right?
Yeah.
So maybe next time when you do cookies like that, we can do it like that. You check on Alex?
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's sleeping in the shell, turtle. Well, don't try. Yeah,
she said turn it off when I get ready.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, because she said
the lamp.
I gotta ask her. I can ask Mika if I can bring Alex home.
Okay. Alright guys, welcome back. Welcome back to my channel. This is the second portion of how to brine a chicken. We are now roasting the chicken on 350 and the magic is happening. I am going to go upstairs and eat and allow you all to watch the magic. As you can see, I literally have my camera rigged so you can see the magic. Excuse my dirty oven. I know I need to clean the window because this is actually a great idea that I have here, and I like this method of watching the magic happen through the window. I'm gonna have to clean this window and do another addition with some different foods and see if we can't get this perfected. And if not, then of course there's always different things we can do. I like being creative and bringing you all a different version, a different method. You know, you guys know that I'm not basic. I like to be all around, giving you different varieties and methods of how to do things. So just going to conclude before I walk away. I have some hot tea on the stove that I'm going to be drinking later on to soothe myself. As you can see, the chicken is sweating. I also, usually you can line the bottom of the pan with aluminum so the pan does not get burnt brown or it dry, because if you leave this pan in there with no water, no oil, no aluminum, it will brown. Like I said, we have this chicken hiked up so it can get roasted perfectly all the way around. If you do sit it on the bottom of something like this, the bottom will not look like the top. It will not. You need that airflow to circle around the meat of the chicken. And I did put a little bit of oil, even though the natural oils from the chicken will drip. I put a little bit of oil so it doesn't burn. And I also put a little bit of I put a little bit of oil and I put a little bit of water to cover the entire bottom, so you can walk away, it doesn't burn, and the chicken continues to cook properly. Again, the oven is on 350 and you can see the chicken beginning to sweat, and you'll see the bottom of the pan, you'll see the water moving or bubbling and stuff like that. I mean, yes, the oven is on 350, so the bottom of that water will begin to boil. It will begin to evaporate. By the time it evaporates, though, there'll be enough juice and enough of the enough of the juice from the chicken to be on the bottom so it doesn't burn. Also, that can be for stock, it could be for gravy, anything like that. So that's all goodness as well. All the time I do so many different things with chicken and other meats. Sometimes I say the juice, sometimes I don't, because it can accumulate pretty fast, in a good way and in a negative way. You do not want to use bad oil, bad grease, bad stock or anything like that for any type of gravies or sauces or soups. That's not good. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to come back and check on it in a little bit. So you can see the magic happening, and like I said, you'll see the bottom of the pan moving because the water is actually bubbling, of course, and you'll see it the oil and the juices from the chicken drip as well. Also, another reason for the oil and water is it's also creating a second method of cooking. People put water, a cup of water, not a cup of water, but something, a metal pan of water sometimes in the oven because it creates steam. And that also creates moisture, even more moisture in the chicken. It creates tenderness. It breaks down the chicken, and yes. So you guys have fun at home, enjoy, watch the magic happen in the oven, and then feel free to just try different things. This is a really fairly big chicken, even though you can see how big the breasts are from the back, even though that is the butt end, but of course the breasts are on the top. So you can see that, and then you can just see that he's laying there being cooked. Sometimes you can tuck in the wings to get them a little bit too out of the way. So or some people I'm trying to think of the word, guys. I'll come back with that later, but if anyone is know what I'm talking about, you use a string or twine to hem the chicken up so it actually is more closed in. And with that, you just get a more perfected chicken, so he's not all sprawled out. But I may go into detail with that later on if I can remember. If you're really, really interested, you can ask me what I meant. I'll automatically immediately know what you'll mean. But other than that, I know I probably won't remember to bring it back to you all. So if you're interested, bring it up. If not, we're just going to eliminate what I was saying. I have a lot of thought process and stuff in my head, and I love to teach and educate while I am cooking. So it's just a little tidbit. See you guys in a little bit. As you can see, it's already 6 minutes and the chicken is going. So let's see what he does in about another 20 to 30 minutes. I'll come back, and if not, then we'll go a little longer. I already know that I like to at least go with my chicken for an hour or a little bit longer, and that just for a chicken that's not brine, that definitely gets more and more tenderness to where your chicken is falling off the bone. But with the brine, you don't really want to extend it that long. However, hey, it's me, it's my food. I like to go a little longer, and it's not going to do anything. It's not going to dry it out or anything. It can, depending on how you do things, but the way that I have things with the water and anything like that, it's not going to dry out. So we'll be back, or excuse me, I'll be back. Well, I was afraid that was going to happen. Not sure at what point that it fell. However, I will check it and I will trim the video, edit. However, we are 45 minutes in and you can now see the magic happening. Bubbly skin, crispy. At this stage, the chicken is done. However, I would like to get a little more color on it. Like I said, different strokes for different folks. The chicken is still sweating and still cooking. Let's see if I can zoom in here. Just want to show this part here. You see that bubbly skin? The skin is bubbling. This is all good. What's going on during this procedure is the heat of the oven being on 350 is so high that it's actually dehydrating the meat. It's pulling all of those juices in and everything is tightening up. Now, in the event that the chicken was not brined, you would have already, this chicken would, anybody that knows cooking, this chicken will already be changed totally a different color. I'm going to give a little bit of light here. However, it's going to take away from the actual clarity of the meat here. I'm going to open it up. Just give you all a good visual here. You can see here the chicken has no color whatsoever on it. It's on 350. It's already cooked, so this is the point where I turn it down just so it does not overcook and we still have that roasting and we can still gain a little color. I'm also going to rotate it. This is good for when you have a spotty oven. Most ovens have some type of, I hate to say it like a disease, but it does have some type of ailment to where you'll notice that the heat fluctuate on one side more than the other, or sometimes it circulates in a different motion and stuff like that. That's all high-tech scientific culinary lingo. This chicken has a few feathers more than what I usually prefer, but hey, at least we know it's fresh, huh? So as you can, or I'm going to show you here, you see how the pan is beginning to dry now, and there's only limited liquid. Like I said, all of the liquid did dry up, which is, it's not bad. You know, all that steam and moisture is inside the chicken. It's all good, but you don't want this pan to continue to stay in here like this, because you will either be scrubbing for days, which nobody likes, or you won't be able to achieve the residue for anything, because it'll be burnt. It'll be those juices are not going to be good if you don't keep them moist, if you don't keep them you know, just like anything else. So I am going to add a little bit of water at the bottom, and the correct term for all of this down here, all this goodness, all of this residue, all of the oils and the drippings, is called sook. Okay, so I'm going to pour more water just like I did in the beginning. I'm going to fill it not all the way up, and most of the time you have to drain off the liquid, you'll find, but at this case you can see with my cooking method I am literally having the oven on high temp 350. That way the water is evaporating, it's not building up. Now if I had it on low and slow, 325, 300, yes, you will notice a lot of oil accumulation of a little bit of grease, a little bit of oil, a little bit of water, all of a mixture. So I'm going to again add a little bit more, and I think, guys, it's so, look at this here. You have, see, that's what I mean by spotty. You have this little color here, and you have it's not that much color. This is what I'm talking about, guys, as far as one of the things I'm talking about. And when you cut into it, you'll notice that it does not gain much of the color because of the osmosis stage that was stopped during the brining procedure. So like I said, if you don't know about brining, look it up before you do it, just to get a little bit more insight. Like I said, it's not much to do it, but if you don't know the knowledge or the education behind it, you might come out with a different product. So and sometimes I even pour water on top of it just to loosen the skin, and then it'll tighten right back up. So I'm not going to do that now because I feel if I do it now the skin will split, and I don't want that. I literally dried it all out for you guys just to see the perfect brown skin. So I'm going to continue doing it that way so you can all see that end result. Maybe I'll do another one next time on a different method, but here we go. And I waited purposely because as soon as I put this water in, I'm going to continue to let it cook, and I'm going to shut the door, and I'm going to allow the video to continue running until the bird is done to my perfection and to what I want to achieve. And even what I am going to achieve may not be what you want to achieve, as far as maybe you can get it crispier, maybe you want it more crispier, maybe you want it to be different. So like I said, everybody, it floats their own boat. Different folks for different strokes. You can try and do as many things as you want, but I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to attend to this pan before it gets any drier. So as soon as I pour this on here, it's going to be a lot of steam, a lot of sound, and I'm going to shut it, go back upstairs and relax, and come back down and check on it. Again, I'm not sure, this phone did drop. Knew that may happen because I did have it propped to a certain position to where it may move. So again, like I said, I'm going to achieve this next time and do it the proper way. But as you can see, my oven on the inside is not dirty, but the as dirty as the window here. But let me be quiet and continue. And surprisingly, it didn't or steam like I thought it would. But of course, that's because it's not directly on heat. The water is, I probably caught it at a perfect stage. Like I said, I literally was upstairs, wasn't even paying attention to it. But if it sat there a little bit longer, you can notice how long the pan is gaining that heat, to where yes, it'll steam on you, and actually like it did the first time because I had it in there a little bit longer. But anywho, that is still some good juice and flavoring. And as soon as I added the water, you may not be able to see, but there is color. There's a little color there from the juices and stuff like that, and that'll be good for some good gravy or some good stock. So I'm going to continue to cook it. Close the oven. That's another thing. Please don't open and close the oven during any type of baking procedures, especially baking desserts. Savory is more okay, but you just kind of want to let your food cook. And yeah, so we have flipped it. Let me position it just a little better. Like I said, you already are not seeing that well due to the debris on the glass. But I'm going to continue. Here we go. I'm going to put something in front of this, that way it does not fall on us again, because I do want you all to see this is more of the important stages and the end result and the ending of what's perspiring. And let's watch the magic. There is a little color, like I said, but no, nowhere is near the color that I would like to achieve. Another thing to develop color is once this can happen naturally. Like I said, it'll be longer doing it like this because I didn't put anything over it. Like I said, you all watch me. I literally patted it dry and I put it right in the oven. If you pat it dry and leave it in the oven for the extra time, 30 to 45 minutes, and that's excessive, to let it dry, maybe even overnight, to be honest. This may not be excessive to you. Maybe you want to do it overnight. However, make sure that you are doing the brining stages and the procedures close all the way up into the cooking process, and making sure that you do allow your chicken to remain in the temperature, in the proper temperature, not in the temperature danger zone, which is on the counter or anywhere where it's not in the cooler, remaining to stay cold, because it is not being cooked, it is just being prepped. So this is one way to not get sick. This is one way not to have your meat spoil. This is so I'm going to stop with that description there. I'm going to continue with, yes, after you leave it for however long you would like. And if you are going to add an oil on top of your chicken after the brining stage, it does need to be completely dry. Other than that, your oil is going to slip off. It's going to be no point in doing it. If you do that, do it in moderation as well, because if not, then you'll have to where the outside will get done faster than the inside. Like I said, if you are doing a 20 to 30, 45 minute method, while you did brine your chicken will be perfected. It'll be juicy, it'll be done, and you'll have an outer crispy skin. I have done this in my pictures on Instagram, where I brushed the entire bird with red palm oil. That is a good healthy oil that you can do that will achieve a great ending product as far as color and crispiness of the skin. You can also brush it with light vegetable oil, or I wouldn't advise butter. However, there is people that put butter up underneath the skin. That is for a method we call almost like a kung fu method, but it's those juices and those fats are it's pretty much basting the chicken without being present. You can literally put chunks of butter up underneath the skin. It's going to melt into the meat. It's also going to melt right up underneath the skin to where the skin will become crispy. So that's a different method I used to do all the time back in the day when I first found out that that's a pretty basic method as well that people get addicted to. I did when I first started cooking, because it is a good way to incorporate flavor, incorporate fat, incorporate that butteriness, that tenderness, and you can achieve that crispiness of the skin that I was talking about. So yes, anytime you want to achieve the crispiness, just brush it with your hand with oil, or with the actual pastry brush, a savory brush or of any sort. But I am going to come back. We are reaching an hour at this point, maybe 50 minutes give or take with the setting up. And although I did, like I said, I stuck it right in the oven, and when I stuck it in the oven, it was already at 350. So when you do this, make sure that the feature on your oven when it beeps, that means it's at that temp already. Sometimes people put it in before, that's fine, but make sure that you are monitoring the time that it actually is in there when it is at the temperature that it is supposed to be. With that being said, I'm going to come back in another 15 to 20 minutes. Like I said, I can already see the magic happening. Also, a quick way to treat the brownness too, and it may be a little smoky or create a little debris in your oven. However, you can spray straight Pam or which is some people don't like to use it because they it is a chemical based non natural product. There's other things that goes in it, so people don't like to use those type of things or butters on their meats and stuff like that. However, if you are a person that you use Pam at the house, you use it for maybe your omelets or your pans, then have at it. Spray the entire chicken, and you also want to make sure you do this maybe about 15 to 10 minutes in. That way it is dry. Now, if you do it too late in the procedure, then you'll just have a smoke-filled kitchen and a smoke-filled oven, and the smoke detector might go off, and sometimes you can have a not burnt product, but it won't sit on there long enough for it to do its job. It'll just immediately burn, and that is because of the high temperature and the oil. Literally, you are spraying oil into an oven, and that can catch fire. So be careful when you do that. Do it when it is on the counter before you put it in there, or if you are experienced with doing it, do it maybe 5 or 10 minutes in with the oven open, letting it ventilate for 2 minutes. Like I said, don't allow the oven to stay open and then shut it. Okay? Alrighty. I'm gonna come back in a little bit when this is closer to being done, and we'll see what we have. As you can already see, like I said, this is pretty much done. I just want to achieve a little bit more crispiness and a little bit more color, and then I will take it out. I will allow you to see it, and I'm not going to cut it immediately because you should allow your meats to rest before you cut them. And I think I will stop right there because that is a totally different knowledge and description that I can give at a later date. Alright? Be back shortly. Alright, y'all, this is the magic. As you can see, as soon as I turned it up to 375, the skin is bubbling and it is tightening back up to achieve that crispiness. So it was my fault for not having it as hot, but I was doing that for a particular reason. I wanted to make sure that the inside was all cooked. Like I said, it is done by 20 to 30 minutes, but I just wanted to achieve that crispiness and that flavor and that golden brown skin color. So now we are rushing the bird at this point, and you can see the tightness right there on the right hand side. On the right hand side, that's where the skin was loose and it's now tightened back up. And you can see the bird still sweating, moisture dripping out, and the bottom of the pan bubbling. Like I said, if this was no water at the bottom, you would have a burnt pan by now. So I'm going to allow that to finish cooking and come back. We'll take it out, we'll let it rest, and then we'll cut it.
Grab me a shot somewhere.
We are back. Give me 1 second. Could be a little bit more golden brown, could be more crispier. Of course, things perspire when you are trying to do things visually. And I'm just going to be honest and say that I am not totally happy with the outcome. That's my tea, y'all. Love tea. But here we are. I'm not totally happy with the outcome. It looks like a damn albino chicken or whatever like that. I'm just gonna be totally honest. But and it is still dripping juices, which is a sign that it's not going to be dried out. So maybe I'll do it again just to see, show you all that this is not the case at all times. Sometimes in cooking you're like, hey, what happened? And then sometimes you're like, oh, that's good. And then you try to retrieve it next time, and it could be a touch and go. But at least, you know, I'm picking out here the feathers that had already cooked down. But at least I would say, you know, you can learn from things that you could have done that you didn't do. Like I said, I'm not surprised. I didn't. I told you all, I did not completely dry it. I didn't completely dry it, so that is probably another reason why it didn't achieve that its fully potential of the brown and crispiness. Like I said, you can probably see like the dry areas here, probably where it was really dry, and it had that good color on it. But to be honest, I don't like my chicken all the time this crispy. Like, that's too crispy for me. I mean, if I wanted fried chicken, I would have fried chicken. You know, so for roasting and baking, I mean, this chicken is fine for me. It does look discolored and shabby. Like I said, it is due to the spotty oven. I literally rotated it, even if you pay attention to the video, which is the reason why I did the video the way I did it. So you can say, oh, what the heck happened like that? Well, you all watched exactly what happened. So it wasn't anything that I did intentionally to make it look like this or like that. Like I said, things perspire, and when you do different things to it, I mean, we added literally an acid, which was the we added sodium, and we brined it. So with the brining stages, it like I said, it does affect the color. Like, usually if you would do a regular chicken, everybody knows that it would not come out looking like this. Now, the flavor is going to be amazing. I also want to show you all when I cut it, the tenderness. I might just break off a piece right now, guys, because to be honest, it is late. It's the end of the night, and I just at least want you all to see. I at least want you guys to see how tender it is. Alright, I'm playing parent right now as well, so excuse me with the pausing in the background also. So anywho, guys, like I said, this is cooking. You know, you're not always going to come out with the same product every time. Even if you look at my pictures on Instagram, all of the roasted chickens look different. Like I said, last time I brushed it with oil. Even here, check this out. You can see that the inside of the meat is already tender and breaking apart. This is what I mean, guys. You see how it looks? You all know that this meat is done. It was been in there for 2 hours. But you see how the meat is, and I'm pulling it apart literally. I don't even have to cut it. But you see how the meat is on the inside, doesn't have any color? That's what I mean. So, you know, when you brine the meat, it's not going to have any color on the inside. And some people, when you serve it, they might get a little worried. But don't fret, don't worry. The meat is cooked. It's just so tender. And you manipulated it. You manipulated it with the brine. And that's that. I mean, there's not really much to say. I'm just going to cut right here. And you can see, look at all of those juices that, 1 second, give you a little more light. Look at all of the juices as soon as I cut it that spill out, and it still looks, this is what I mean. You have a juicy, all the juices are dripping. Look at that, look at all those juices in there. All those juices are trapped. So, like I said, it looks like the chicken is not done on the inside, but that's I mean, if you brined it, that's a good sign. You know that you have a tender piece of meat. I'm gonna just at least, this is my food, y'all. I'm not serving this to anybody, so I just tasted it. Very delicious. Like I said, it has that, so tender. So tender and